Down, there is the mRNA vaccine, like the SARS corona vaccine. So this mRNA vaccine technology has revolutionized how we approach to beat the time frame during the pandemicity. So now most of the research is happening on mRNA vaccines, especially after the Nobel Prize was awarded. So if you want to know, you can read more about the mRNA vaccines, which can revolutionize even not only for virology, but also how to combat cancer. The second pandemic, which I would like to introduce, is the coronavirus. It started in 2019. Incidentally, I was living close to China at that time, and we got to know this news much before our families in India was knowing. And I was living in Taiwan at that time, and that's the first time that the WHO, by end of December, they gave an alert. And what was peculiar about this pandemicity is, although the information was known, there was complete shutdown from the local markets where they are selling meat. And that's how the people realized, or the scientists realized, there could be a conspiracy theory that the viruses got assorted in that markets. And the first case outside China was reported in Thailand. And then there was active surveillance and there was travel ban. And within this time frame, as the viruses were spreading and causing a lot of death, what started as a very simple flu-like illness, people started worrying how to make vaccine. Now, coronavirus vaccines we have successfully made, and again, many companies, including some in India, have made several attempts to make different types of vaccines. Currently, we have 4 different vaccines. AstraZeneca has made a DNA-based viral vaccine, and its Russian counterpart, Sputnik, has also made the same. In India, we have collaborated with Oxford University, and Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute have made this vaccine. They have made attenuated killed inactivated vaccine, which has some side effects, which is of a concern. But it's always a question of cost to benefit ratio, because it was a pandemic time. So how soon we can give this to create a herd immunity was important for us. There was messenger RNA virus mRNA vaccines, which was heavily funded by Pfizer and Moderna, and they are one of the most profit-making companies now in the vaccines. They're Fortune 500 companies. So they used the knowledge of basic science to make a product, and they save the human lives. So that is very commendable effort from them. Now, I will switch gears and come how the contribution of India to understanding viruses and vaccines is important. So maybe most of you have never heard of this disease. This information I'm happy to share and proud that this was in the National Institute of Virology, where I was still a student. And I learned a story that a disease called Cassidue forest disease. The name comes from the forest area, which is at the border of Kerala, Karnataka. So this particular virus is present in the ticks. So ticks are these blood-sucking insects which attach themselves to the grazing cattle. So in that, because it was a forest area, the people who first started reporting, they found that humans were getting infected suddenly with some very weird disease, and they could not recover, and their mortality rate was 50%. So like every 1 in 2 people who got this illness, which started with headache and severe body pain and fever, they were dying. And this was still in 1960s and 70s. So you see the black and white picture there. That's one of the scientists who went there to collect the ticks and isolate the virus from there. So what the people were reporting was that apart from humans, it is called a monkey falling disease. Monkeys which got in contact with these ticks were falling off from the rooftops or from the trees where they were hanging. And that's how the local panchayat people started reporting that this weird incident is happening. They thought it is some kind of voodoo magic. But the government of India got activated, and they decided to investigate what is happening. The whole exercise of me telling you this is, humans are not always the primary host of any viral infection. It is actually the cattle which was the primary host, or the primate. Human becomes accidental host. So while grazing cattle comes back to home. If the tick gets a chance to bite a human, it is transmitting the virus to the human. So this is how humans accidentally become host to new evolving viruses. Having said about the disease, we have NIV has successfully made a vaccine in a record 1.5 year. So what they did is they isolated the strain and they grew them in chick embryo virus cell lines, and they passaged it for several times to make it inactivated, and they test this virus in monkeys. So this is a newspaper clipping which proudly predicts, says how NIV has been a forefront to cure an endemic disease. So even now, there is an annual surveillance happening. So this is data showing from 2019 to 2023. So you see in the district of Shimoga, there were 23 cases, and there were 343 cases with 23 deaths. So whenever there is a spike in certain symptomatic diseases, the vaccine strain which is present in the field station of NIV in Kerala, they are asked to make this vaccine readily available for the people who are present in that area. So what can start as a high fever, headache, and diarrhea can also have a neurological manifestation. So this particular disease is a manifestation causes encephalitis. So you have a brain fever, but if the vaccine is given timely, then there is 95% of recovery. So we have seen that in places in Chikmagalur, Shimoga, Udupi, in Uttar Kannada and Dakshin Kannada, NIV people go there annually to understand whether there is any need to bulk up the vaccine. So this is one of the good examples. Not many people know about it. Now coming to contribution at a pandemic level for India. So India, its arsenal has had 6 biotech companies, Serum Institute of India being one of the largest in the world, which has made the COVID vaccine, and it is soon going to make the dengue tetravalent vaccine, and it's in the phase 3 trials. So it's a kudos for us as Indian and also for our Indian businesses, how they're using the traditional knowledge and scientific acumen to not only cure the disease, but also make a profit-making ventures. So virology as a field, it is open not only for research, but also for business. But there seems to be certain challenges in the vaccine development, like in case of HIV. Although in 1980s, many governments started working on combating the virus, and I think it was John F. Kennedy who said that within 4 years, the virus vaccine will be ready. But no, that is not the case even after 40 years. So what it needs is importance of research funding, public health education, and the development efforts from both researchers and also from the manufacturers, and a global collaboration. But traditional vaccine development trial on papers and while talking in classrooms and conferences seems very easy, but it's a very long process. But there is a hope. I will tell you how. So there is research and development which is happening in laboratories like us, where we are doing. Then there is a preclinical trial. There is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. That itself takes decades. And then there's a large-scale manufacturing. So, but this process becomes a necessary evil because we have to go through the entire process to make sure what we are giving to humans at the end is completely safe and efficient. But recent invention of mRNA vaccine is going to revolutionize this field of vaccinology because it is going to reduce the time frame to make vaccines to considerable amount. So what we do in mRNA technology is the mRNA encoding for specific pathogen. Now we have sequences ready, we have AI, we have bioinformatics. These sequences is ready, and we can make the mRNA concoction within the laboratory, and then it can be sequenced and put it using molecular biology tools and recombinant technology in plasmids, and then that can be purified and delivered to humans, and it can be placed in a small microtube. It is ready, but it has to go through the same clinical trials and same testing. So if you are by now infused with the knowledge of vaccines, what career goals it can give is you can be a healthcare professional, you can work in academia or government agencies. There are manufacturing and private industries which do contract research for vaccines and for testing. There are always non-governmental organizations, public health organizations. And if you are a science enthusiast or a person who likes to read and summarize this to normal people, you can be a media savvy. And you can also be in an individual or community which can use this knowledge of vaccine to make a career about it.